Hello and welcome to Eurogamer's Let's Replay. I'm Ellie Gibson and I'm joined today by Christian Donlan. How are you?
Hello, yeah, good.
Very good. What are we playing today?
We're playing Spy Hunter.
Spy Hunter! I don't know if that is the theme tune. I feel like it should be.
No, well, funnily enough, the theme tune comes into this. This was the first game. The reason we're playing Spy Hunter is because it was the first game I ever thought was cool.
Oh.
In part because you drive a car that comes out the back of a lorry, which is cool.
That's, yeah.
But otherwise, because it has the theme from Peter Gunn, I think. I don't know how they got away with that. I don't know if they changed one of the notes.
Well, in the 80s, there was no such thing as libel law, really,
no, that's
was
true.
there?
That's true. It was an absolute playground for IP theft.
Oh, so what's happening? So has the game actually started?
No.
Right,
no.
okay.
I was afraid of that. So I haven't played this in a really long time. I haven't played this since the days when I thought a car coming out of a lorry was cool.
What do you mean? I still think that's cool. That hasn't got less cool.
Now, of course, I realise that cars come out of lorries every day. It's how they get to the forecourts.
That's right.
Nothing special about that at all.
I mean, looking at these graphics, it's hard to believe that this was made 30 years ago.
I know, isn't it? Well, it was running on a very early version of the Unreal Engine.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes I'm running off the roads and I don't know why. Can you just shoot yourself off the road?
Because it's it was acceptable in the 80s. It really was. I miss top-down games.
Whoa! Oh my god! I just found the gear shift. I sound like my grandmother driving. I'm not being sexist and terrible. My grandmother was an unpredictable driver.
And she was terrible at Spy Hunter.
She had a Buick Cutlass or something like that, and she would. Oh my god! When she ran into the back of a car, she would yell out to the driver, even though it was her mistake. She would yell out, "Go back home and do your sleeping."
Awesome. Well, as my mum's friend says when she regularly smashes her car into another one, well, that's what bumpers are for. That's how
she is
parks.
right.
Boom, boom,
okay,
boom,
so
boom.
here's a lorry. We're going to try and come in
Come
back
on, come on.
Up there. Come on, mate.
Oh.
Oh dear. That's a terrible thing when your secret spy acquaintance wants to give you a power up and it ends up killing you. Just the knowledge of its existence.
I feel like it should have a soundtrack by the Eagles, actually. That would be more...
Yes, I don't even think they could afford a soundtrack by the Mavericks. So,
they're the next best thing, obviously. But yeah, you don't get enough top-down games these days.
You get quite a lot of them.
Well, yeah, but...
I mean, no, you don't, you're right.
I just want an excuse to whinge, you're right. No, I mean of this quality.
No, you certainly don't get a lot of games of this quality.
Do you remember Ikari Warriors?
Yes.
Oh, I loved that, where you had the machine gun and it poked out like a little willy, which obviously, if you're an 8-year-old girl, is the funniest thing you've ever seen.
Look at that guy. It was probably another spy, and he just ran me right off the road. Also, do you think it's commentary that these trees looked a little bit like mushroom clouds? It's almost like saying the fate of the world. If you don't mess it up, because
see, this is I've often said this. You know, people sort of go on about the 80s, especially people who weren't actually there. You know,
yes.
About the 80s being this lovely golden age of childhood, and it was just all idyllic, and the cartoons are wonderful. People forget there was the perpetual threat of global nuclear holocaust.
Well, I think there still is. It just feels more diffuse. You know, I think the global threat is also we're constant. The other thing in the 80s is we believed in the idea of enemies, didn't we? And now we generally realise that we're the biggest problem.
Spies Like Us has a lot to answer for.
I know Terry Gilliam. It's that Terry Gilliam cameo. That's the problem. That's where it all went wrong.
That was responsible for the Cold War.
In fact, yes, I do think. I think there's no one would be able to fault your reasoning on that.
Yeah.
There's a brilliant bit coming up where it talks about choice in video games. So you have a choice of roads.
Is it like a Peter Molyneux style choice?
It'll make you cry in that respect. You have a choice of roads, and look what happens. The choice you didn't take, it just in a minute, coming up. Honestly, good radio.
Yeah.
It disappears, and everyone on it dies. So basically, there's
how
a kind
do
of
everyone on it dies. Maybe they're going to
because I've said occasionally there'll be a car driving at the moment that you go the other way, and you just see it bumped into oblivion. And it's kind of like, I think that basically there's a strong solipsistic bent in Spy Hunter. It's kind of saying you are the only person who really exists. Oh dear.
And Spy Hunter, of course, was made by the I was going to say much missed Midway Games. Do you miss them?
Much missed. Yeah, they were like they were so like if you know Miyamoto is like this toy maker, this childish toy maker. People kind of childlike, which is the good one. Childish is when you don't want to share your sweets with someone. But people say like he's the Spielberg of games, and I always think the Midway is particularly like great designers like Jarvis. They were like the John Carpenter of games.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Michael Bay of games.
No.
This is
look
cars
at
driving into lorries and crashing into the river.
There's an incredible bit later on, which we won't get to because I'm shockingly incompetent at this, where you can drive your car through a little boat. Through a little boathouse, and it turns into a boat. And back then, in the 80s, when something turning into something else was about as exciting as culture got, that was... I think there are a lot of children who are like, oh my god, I can't believe that. Did you see the bit where a car turned into a boat?
Yeah, and then crashed off a bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, great days. Could have done with turning into a boat there.
I know, I could have. Or just
handy.
Yeah.
Your scoring here is 11. Is that good?
I like how they haven't contextualized it. It's almost like that. Is it called the Thompson, or there's like some business law, which is any number that has a value on it ceases to be a trustworthy number. And so they've just said your score's 11. Yeah. You're like, well, okay.
Well, I feel like my score's got up to 11. That's fine. In the 80s, that was my favourite number.
Yes.
So, what can you remember any other Midway classics? Did
lots.
Do the Thundercats game?
I have no idea.
Oh, I have no
idea. They did lots of other classics. So they did Gauntlet. Basically, Williams were bought by Midway at some point. They did stuff like Gauntlet. They did... what's the game I really, really love where you are building... Is it Rampart? Where you're building defences, firing off cannons and stuff like that. They did Joust, which is a bit of a classic. They did loads of great games. They were the great American... For me, they were the great American arcade designer, and Midway was still making great games at the time of Stranglehold, which I bloody love.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Where are they now?
They went bankrupt.
They did, sadly.
And they sold everything to Warner Brothers.
Well,
Do you think that's like the ultimate where are they now? Is that maybe that's always the answer? I've just realised I've been driving the whole time in low gear. Again. Yeah. Hello, grandmother. Oh, look at that. Do you want
me to show you how it's done?
Realistic physics. Yes, take over.
Right, I don't think I've ever played this game. If I haven't played it since 1982. So I can't even start the car. There we go.
I'm trying to think who made the Cutlass now.
Was it
Chevrolet? No.
11.
Oh. Dodge. Was it the Dodge? I think the Dodge made the Cutlass. Anyway,
So how old were you when you started playing this game?
So my brother had it on the Commodore 64.
Oh, yeah.
I probably would have been about 5.
Oh, and because you grew up in America, were you living in the States at that point?
No. We were briefly back. Also, I'd say that when I say play it, I would probably watch my brother play it more than I played it myself.
Yeah, well, that's...
Because that was how I enjoyed games back there. It was like YouTube, but before YouTube.
It's funny, and then you get in your 20s, and then you get... I found that it's cyclical, isn't it? Because I started drinking. So then you like watching other people play games because you're too drunk to do it yourself, and it's too much work. And then, now I'm in my 30s.
This guy's going to give you a hard time.
Oops.
Look at that.
Oh.
I knew it.
There we are. Let's see, though. Let's see.
Who's that psychic who tells everyone that their children are dead and has just died recently? I'm like the Sue Brown. Is it the Sue Brown of
Sylvia Brown.
Sylvia Brown is just like, this is bad news for you.
Yeah.
Except you don't have to go on a cruise with me for you to tell you that. Though you could. I could do Spy Hunter predicting on the open seas. We all go on a cross-channel ferry and I go, this isn't going to go well.
Yeah.
You're going to lose 25 cents.
This is impossibly hard, this game.
Sylvia Brown can't sue us anymore, can you? No, you just got to pull the trigger that drives the... See, I can't drive in real life, so I'm saying stuff like you have to pull the trigger that drives the motor. There's probably a name for that button on the floor in a car.
No, I swear, look, I've broken it. I've broken Spy
Hunter.
Wow,
you've broken... You really have. But look at this. I'm like the kind of spy who just lurks. I don't bother, chasing... I let the villains come to me. And then as long as they park immediately in front of me, I can do some real damage.
The laziest thing in the world. Well, let's just let the clock run out and then just see...
The clock run out. It's got 500 things on it. It's going to... Okay.
Yeah.
Well, too much. Look at that. Oh. Isn't that just life? You're sitting there, minding your own business as a spy.
We actually did better.
The ultimate.
That's the highest score we've got from just parking at the side of the road, occasionally firing, and then actually not touching the controller at all.
I would also argue top agent TfL Transport for London. Yeah. I would argue he's not a top agent because he's been exposed. Or like everyone looks at this leaderboard and they're like, well, I know who he is now. Yeah. Same for you, KC or KO.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, well, I think that's probably enough Spy Hunter.
Yes, forever.
For the next 30 years. That will do me. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for playing, Chris. See you next time. Bye. No.
Well, anyway, this gives us an opportunity for me to ask a question. I've been bothering you for ages. You ever tempted to have another
child? Just one
child?
time at university, and we're still very good friends. What?